The complete works of Swami Vivekananda, Lectures and Discourses, the Ramayana, lecture delivered by Swami Vivekananda at the Shakespeare Hall, California, Part 3. When Rama and Lakshmana returned to the cottage and found that Sita was not there, their grief knew no bounds. They could not imagine what had become of her. The two brothers went on seeking and seeking everywhere for Sita, but could not find no trace of her. After long searching, they came across a group of monkeys, and in the midst of them was Hanuman, the divine monkey. Hanuman was the best of the monkeys and became the most faithful servant of Rama and helped him in rescuing Sita, as we shall see later on. His devotion to Rama was so great that he is still worshipped by the Hindus as a true ideal servant of the Lord. You see, by the monkeys and demons are meant the aborigines of southern India. So Rama at last fell in with these monkeys. They told him that they had seen flying through the sky a chariot in which was seated a demon who was carrying a most beautiful lady, and that she was weeping bitterly. And as the chariot passed over their heads, she dropped one of her ornaments to attract their attention. They showed Rama the ornament. Lakshman took up the ornament and said, "I do not know whose ornament it is." Rama took it from him and recognized it at once, saying, "Yes, it is Sita's." Lakshman could not recognize the ornament because in India the wife of the elder brother was held in so much reverence that he had never looked upon the arms and neck of Sita. So you see, as it was a necklace, he did not know whose it was. There in this episode a touch of the old Indian custom. Then the monkeys told Rama who this demon king was and where he lived, and they all went out to seek for him. Now the monkey king Vali and his younger brother Sugriv were then fighting among themselves for the kingdom. The younger brother was held by Rama and he regained the kingdom from Vali, who had driven him away, and he in return promised to help Rama. They searched the country all round, but could not find Sita. At last Hanuman leaped by one bound from the coast of India to the island of Ceylon, and there he went looking all over for Sita, but nowhere could he find her. You see, this giant king had conquered the gods, the men, in fact the whole world, and he had collected all the beautiful women and made them his concubines. So Hanuman thought to himself, Sita cannot be with them in the palace. She would rather die than be in such a place. So Hanuman went to seek for her elsewhere. At last he found her sitting under a tree, pale and thin, like the new moon that lies low in the horizon. Now Hanuman took the form of a little monkey and settled on the tree. And there he witnessed how giantess sent by Ravana came and tried to frighten Sita into submission. But she would not even listen to the name of the giant king. Then Hanuman came nearer to Sita and told her how he became the messenger of Rama, who had sent him to find out where Sita was. And Hanuman showed to Sita the signet ring which Rama had given as a token for establishing his identity. He also informed her that as soon as Rama would know about her whereabouts, he would come with an army and conquer the giant and recover her. However, he suggested to Sita that if she wished, he would take her on his shoulders and could in one leap clear the ocean and get her back to Rama. But Sita could not bear the idea, as she was chastity itself, and could not touch the body of any man except her husband. So Sita remained where she was, but she gave him a jewel from her hair to carry to Rama, and with that Hanuman returned. Learning everything about Sita from Hanuman, Ram collected an army and with it marched towards the southernmost point of India. There Rama's monkeys built a huge bridge called Sita Setu Bandha, connecting India with Ceylon. In very low water, even now, it is possible to cross from India to Ceylon over the sandbanks there. Now Rama was God incarnate. Otherwise, how could he have done all these things? He was an incarnation of God, according to the Hindus. They in India believe him to be the seventh incarnation of God. The monkeys removed whole hills, placed them in the sea, covered them with stones and trees, thus making a huge embankment. A little squirrel, so it is said, was there rolling itself in the sand and running backwards and forwards onto the bridge and shaking itself. Thus, in his own small way, he was working for the little bridge of Rama by putting in sand. The monkeys laughed, for they were bringing in whole mountains, whole forests, huge loads of sand for the bridge. So they laughed at the little squirrel rolling in the sand and then shaking itself off. But Rama saw it and remarked, "Blessed be the little squirrel. He is doing his work to the best of his ability, and he is therefore quite as great as the greatest of you." Then he gently stroked the squirrel on the back, and the marks of Rama's fingers running lengthways are seen on the squirrel's back to this day. Now, when the bridge was finished, the whole army of monkeys, led by Rama and his brother, entered Ceylon. For several months afterwards, the tremendous war and bloodshed followed. At last, this demon king Ravana was conquered and killed, and his capital, with all his palaces and everything, which was entirely made of solid gold, were taken. In far-off villages in the interior of India, when I tell them that I have been in Ceylon, the simple folk say, "There, as our books tell, the houses are built of gold." So all these golden cities fell into the hands of Rama, who gave them over to Vibhishana, the younger brother of Ravana, and seated him on the throne in the palace in place of his brother, as a return for the valuable services rendered to him during the war. Then Rama and with Sita and his followers left Lanka. But there ran a murmur among the followers, the test. The test they cried. Sita has not given the test that she was perfectly pure in the Ravana household. Pure. She is chastity itself, exclaimed Rama. Never mind, we want the test, persisted the people. Subsequently, a huge sacrificial fire was made ready, into which Sita had to plunge herself. Rama was in agony, thinking that Sita would be lost. But in a moment, the god of fire himself appeared with a throne upon his head, and upon that throne was Sita. Then there was universal rejoicing, and everyone was satisfied. Early during the period of exile, Bharata, the younger brother, had come and informed Rama that of the death of the old king, and vehemently insisted on his occupying the throne. During Rama's exile, Bharata would on no account ascend the throne, and out of respect placed a pair of Rama's wooden shoes on it as a substitute for his brother. Then Rama returned to his capital, and by the common consent of his people, he became the king of Ayodhya. After Rama regained his kingdom, he took the necessary vows in the olden times the king had to take for the benefit of his people. The king was a slave of his people and had to bow to the public opinion, as we shall see later on. Rama passed a few years of happiness in Sita when people again began to murmur that Sita had stolen by a demon and carried across the ocean. They were not satisfied with the former test and clamored for another test, otherwise she must be banished. In order to satisfy the demands of the people, Sita was banished and left to live in the forest, where was the hermitage of the sage and poet Valmiki. The sage found poor Sita weeping and forlorn, and hearing her sad story, sheltered her in his ashram, and she gave birth to twin boys. The poet never told the children who they were. He brought them up together in brahmacharin life. He then composed the poem known as Ramayana, set it to music, and dramatized it. The drama in life was the very holy thing. Drama and music are themselves held to be religion. Any song, whether it be love or song or otherwise, if one's whole song is in that song, one attains salvation. One has nothing to do with it. They say it leads to the same goal as meditation. So Valmiki dramatized the life of Rama and taught Ram's two little children how to sing and recite it and sing it.